So the Browns could make a pretty surprising decision with their quarterback room that very few teams, if any at all, will make this upcoming season. It honestly doesn't make a ton of sense, but given the fact that Deshaun Watson has screwed them over with his contract, it makes a little more sense for Cleveland compared to anybody else for reasons I'll get into in today's video. Then the Rams made a bit of an odd signing, and the Jaxson Dart hype is starting to rise in New York. So let's talk about all that and more right after. Alright, first up, the Pittsburgh Steelers and safety DeShon Elliot agreed on a new extension last night. It's for 2 years, $12.5 million, including $9.21 million guaranteed, if y'all want to know the exact details. Elliott was drafted by the Ravens back in 2018 as a 6th-round pick, and after spending his first 4 seasons there, he spent the next 2 with the Lions, followed by the Dolphins, before signing a 2-year deal with Pittsburgh prior to the 2024 season. So this new extension actually keeps him under contract through the 2027 season. Elliott got rewarded for what was undoubtedly the best season of his career, as he racked up 108 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 6 passes defensed, and a partridge in a pear tree. Bad joke. He and Minkah Fitzpatrick are a solid tandem at safety, and Fitzpatrick is under contract for the next 2 seasons himself, so they've got that figured out back there in the secondary. Now, they just need to sign TJ Watt to his extension, and that defense will be ready to roll for the 2025 season, especially now that Rodgers is getting that offensive side of the ball ready after showing up for mandatory minicamp last week. Then we actually found out today that another defensive back is re-signing with his same team, though this situation is a little more odd. The Rams released cornerback Derion Kendrick last Friday, a move that at the time made some believe LA could be making room for a potential Jalen Ramsey trade or maybe a Jair Alexander signing. And while either of those could still happen, it was surprising today to see the news that Derion Kendrick is re-signing with the Los Angeles Rams. The only thing that makes sense here is that he's coming back on a much cheaper contract. The details of his new deal aren't out yet at this point in time, but we know that the Rams saved $3.4 million in cap space when they released him last week. Either way, you'd think they could just restructure his deal to save money without the gymnastics of the waiving and re-signing, but I'm sure they have their reasons as to why they did this. Derion was a 6th-rounder back in 2022 and started 18 games for them over the 2022 and 2023 seasons. He sadly tore his ACL last offseason, which caused him to miss the entire 2024 season, and he's now back, hoping for a bounce-back year, and is added to a room that might still need some veteran cornerback help prior to the start of the season. Next up, let's take a look at how the quarterback competition is going over in Cleveland. After the conclusion of their minicamp last week, Adam Schefter thinks it would be an upset if either Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett was not the Browns starting quarterback on opening day. That was definitely the consensus belief before OTAs and minicamp, but training camp will be the true test. Padded practices, live pass rush, and actual in-game situations. Regardless of who ends up climbing this ladder throughout training camp, though, many weren't confident Cleveland would end up keeping all 4 of those quarterbacks, but Mary Kay Abbott, a beat reporter for the Browns, believes that there's a chance the Browns will not only enter the season with all 4 QBs on the roster, but that they'll even finish the season with all of them still on the team, meaning they won't trade any of them ahead of the deadline. A reason why that's possible is because all 4 of them are under extremely cheap deals. Get this, the combo of Flacco, Pickett, Shador, and Gabriel have a combined cap hit of roughly $7.6 million for this season. That's a little more than 1/5 of what Deshaun Watson's cap hit is, nearly $36 million. So they aren't necessarily breaking the bank from a salary cap standpoint. The biggest pushback against this idea, though, is more roster construction. It's hard to envision any team keeping 4 quarterbacks on the roster because that means you're taking a roster spot away from another player on the team from a different position group. Most teams keep 3 or maybe 2 quarterbacks with another on the practice squad. What they could do, I guess, is release one of these QBs and sign them to the practice squad, but you run the risk of that player not making it through waivers and getting claimed by another team, and I honestly think any of those guys, especially Gabriel or Shador, who were just added to the draft, would definitely not clear waivers. That's why the only logical choice in this scenario for who to cut, I guess, would be Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett is on the last year of his contract, It's not a huge cap hit, so you can't rule him out either. But Joe Flacco is a vested vet, meaning he's played more than 4 accrued seasons in the league and wouldn't need to clear waivers at this point in time. He would be released, immediately become a free agent, and could, in theory, sign straight to Cleveland's practice squad after cutdowns, and then they could bring him up to the active roster on some game days. Obviously, this would require Flacco's cooperation, and under this scenario, he most likely wouldn't be the starter. So this feels like more of a long shot, but the Browns situation is so weird that I don't think anything can be ruled out completely at this point. Another quarterback room to keep an eye on is that of the New York Giants. Just like the Browns, they collected quarterbacks like infinity stones this past offseason. They signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal to be the presumed starter. Then they brought in Jameis Winston on a cheaper 2-year deal. After that, draft night rolled around, and before it was all said and done, Jaxson Dart was a New York Giant. And while Russell Wilson appears to have a strong grip on the QB1 role, it looks like Dart may be the favorite to secure the backup spot over Jameis Winston. I don't think Jameis minds. He's just out there having fun eating some W's with Tommy DeVito today at practice. As for Dart, he reportedly worked in second behind Russell Wilson for most of the team periods today. Apparently, he looked pretty solid out there as well, albeit it was against the second and third team defenses. He finished 9 for 11 with a touchdown on the day, which isn't too bad. Head coach Brian Daboll told the media today that Dart has been excellent this spring and that he's impressed with how quickly Dart's picked up and absorbed information. I'm personally not going to read too much into the Dart hype just yet because they could just simply be seeing what Dart is able to learn and contribute, whereas you kind of already know what you have in the veteran famous Jameis. Something else to mention from today's practice is that third-year wideout Jalen Hyatt reportedly left to drill early in practice to get his left leg stretched out by a trainer. Then, after talking with Brian Daboll for a bit, his day was officially over. Could be very precautious by the team and something as minor as cramping, or hopefully just a tweak or pull worst case scenario, and hopefully not something more serious. It's just worth monitoring because he's a guy that is looking to have a breakout season, and this certainly isn't a great start. Through his first 2 years in the league, he had just 31 career catches, a little over 400 yards, and 0 touchdowns. So he missed a good amount of practice today. Then their wide receiver 1 Malik Neighbors is set to miss all of minicamp with a toe injury. It's something that goes back to college for him, which could be a concern, even though Brian Daboll has downplayed the severity of it. That isn't new news either. We've known that for a while now, as he's already missed all of OTAs because of it. It's just worth mentioning since that's now 2 receivers that aren't getting valuable reps with new quarterbacks in the system. There's plenty of time before training camp though, so hopefully both of these guys are all good by then. Next up, do you guys remember how Tyreek Hill was supposed to race Olympian Noah Lyles this summer? Well, sadly, it's been canceled due to complications and personal reasons. For context, this goes all the way back to last August when Tyreek claimed he could beat Lyles in a 100-meter race. Yes, the same race that Lyles just won a gold medal in during the 2024 Olympics. Lyles had some fun with that, holding up this sign that read Tyreek could never after winning his 4th straight 60-meter final back in February. The two then announced that a race would be held during the summer, and as of just a few weeks ago, it appeared like everything was going according to plan. Tyreek spoke with the media during OTAs the last week of May and revealed that he had a little warm-up race scheduled, and then after that, he would face Noah Lyles. Well, that warm-up race was just a few days ago on June 13th out in California. Tyreek said his goal for that race was to run 10 seconds flat, but his actual time ended up being 10.15, and that is still fast as hell. That time would have qualified him for the semifinals of the 100-meter dash at the Olympics last year. So, impressive for a guy that hasn't competed in track since college and is currently 31 years old, but Noah Lyles is on a different level entirely. After Tyreek posted that time of 10.15, he held up a sign that said Noah could never, and while that is funny, of course, Noah ran that distance in 9.784 seconds, almost 0.4 of a second faster than Tyreek. That may not sound like much, but in a 100-meter race, that's enough for a pretty convincing W. So initially, I thought Tyreek Hill is the one that canceled the race to basically save face and not get his kicked by Noah Lyles. However, it looks like it was actually Noah that canceled the race for personal reasons and not Tyreek. Lyles said, quote, "Unfortunately, there were some things, complications, personal reasons that it just didn't come to pass, but we were full on. We were going to shut down New York Times Square and everything. It was going to be a lot of fun." And for the record, it does look like it was actually Noah that canceled the race after all, because Tyreek Hill posted to his X account this afternoon saying Noah Lyles, after seeing me run the 100-meter last weekend with the infamous Homer Simpson meme where he kind of blends back into the bush and goes into hiding. So Tyreek is definitely having a good time with it, and therefore I don't think he's the one that actually did cancel it. Anyway, while we knew Tyreek was probably going to lose that race, we still don't fully know who's going to win these QB battles. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Flacco claims QB1 for the Browns and then Russell Wilson for the Giants to start week 1 of the regular season, or somebody else entirely? Let me know either way in the comments down below. And with that, I'll see y'all next time.